Yeah, I had anxiety. I probably never even realized how bad my anxiety was until I didn't have the anxiety anymore. I mean, I remember this was just 4 years ago, 4 short years ago. I'm driving in my RV van from Salt Lake City, and I was going camping, a little camping trip up to a state park about 40 minutes away. That's all, 40 minutes away. Yeah, there were some curvy, mountainous, semi-dangerous roads to get there, but that's the way it is. They weren't terrible. They were a little scary, but not terrible. But by the time I got there, along this ride, I had already downed some anti-anxiety meds and who knows what else, just for the drive, the 40-minute drive. That's how anxious I was. And this was supposed to be fun. I mean, going camping in a nice little RV van at a state park in with a beautiful reservoir, that's supposed to be fun. But my anxiety got the worst of me. And then in the evening, to make it worse, I started having anxiety attacks because I'm thinking to myself, if I have some kind of a medical situation, here I am at this state park, far away from any hospital in the middle of nowhere. But it wasn't in the middle of nowhere. I don't know, I'm guessing probably only 20 minutes from Ogden when there are hospitals there, and Salt Lake City only 45 minutes away. It I was I was in really bad shape. Like I said, I never realized how bad my anxiety was. I mean, I used to take anti-anxiety medications and probably I don't know what else, cannabis or just to go on a hike because I was anxious that something would happen. And I remember about 10, 15 years ago when I used to frequently once a year go on a week long backpacking trip in Grand Canyon, deep into Grand Canyon. Now, granted, this is not for the faint of heart. It's not easy. It was fairly difficult. But I was an experienced backpacker, an experienced hiker. But the night before we would actually be leaving on this backpacking trip to go into the canyon, and we had to carry everything we needed for one full week on our back. So it's I'm not saying it's easy. However, I would feel physically ill the night before venturing down into the canyon. I feel physically ill, my GI problems, nauseous, um, you name it, like a cough. Just I developed everything. It was psychosomatic because I was anxious that I was going to die in the canyon. And people get into trouble backpacking Grand Canyon, but again, I was reasonably experienced, and I went with a few close friends and my wife, and we always did well. But I remember even on like a long hiking day, or backpacking in the canyon, long hiking day. By the time we made it to our destination in the evening, I felt horrible. I just felt like, oh my god, like what's going to happen today? Is it going to be super hot? Am I going to die on the trail? Is something else going to happen where I'm going to die? Am I going to fall off a ledge or cliff? I was a mess. It was crazy. Sometimes before skiing, and I'm a skier. I know how to ski, but if I had the feeling that we were going to be going to a difficult area, I would I would get I would have an anxiety attack. I would start to feel physically ill. Physically ill doing something that I love. How weird is that? Like I said, I never realized how bad my anxiety was. Even simple driving 4 to 5 years ago, by the time I ended up at my destination, my heart would be beating fast. I felt like I never took my blood pressure, but I felt like my blood pressure was up because I felt flush. Again, I carried a little canister of anti-anxiety meds with me wherever I went, and I'd be popping them the whole time. It was terrible. It was I was a mess. And the crazy thing is nobody really, probably nobody could tell because I did the best I could to hide it. But as I said, you just can't sweep the stuff under the rug and just ignore it and pretend it's not there. It's always there. It's there. You have to do something about it. You can't just ignore it. Driving, skiing, backpacking, it, everything I did made me anxious. And these are things that I like to do. I don't get it. However, I will say this: the day, and let me back up just for 1 second, because again, I went through talk therapy, um, um, anti-anxiety medication, antidepressants. They worked a little bit, but not much. And if I continued along that path, I might not even be alive today. I mean, I don't know. I told you about the story where I got so anxious one time in the middle of the night. This is 4 years ago. It was just a little bit over 4 years ago, because I remember exactly the date. And I woke up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, and I felt my heart beating just so fast. And I went downstairs. I didn't want to wake my wife up. I went downstairs and took my blood pressure, and it was like, I don't know, it was like 185 or 190 over something really high. I can't remember exactly. I don't even want to remember. It was so scary high. And I woke my wife up and said, "You got to take me to the hospital. I'm having some kind of high blood pressure attack, some type of hypertensive crisis or something." It was, I was in really bad shape. Here's the however. The moment I started microdosing magic mushrooms, the moment I started, it's almost like the anxiety melted away. People ask me, well, how long does it take when you start microdosing magic mushrooms? How long does it take to start feeling better? Well, for me, it was almost day one, but I don't know whether I was just one of the fortunate ones, whether that might have been a placebo effect at first. But there's no way a placebo can last 4 years. That's not going to have this is real. It's real medicine, and it really works. You have to work at it, but it really works. I've worked with some people one-on-one coaching with people that I could tell didn't want to fix themselves. They claim they did. And they tried a little bit of magic mushroom, just a little bit. And then they ventured off and did other things, and nothing seemed to work. And then they went back to their same patterns. And looking back, I really believe that, and it's not many, but some of these people just, I think, weren't really ready or weren't really serious to fix themselves. And you have to be ready. You have to be serious. I was 4 years ago, or just under 4 years ago, when I microdosed for the very first time. I said to myself, enough is enough. I cannot continue living this life the way I was living, with constant anxiety, constant depression, and much more. Enough was enough, and I was all in to do whatever it would take to feel better every single day, or even almost every day. I was all in, and I would do whatever it would take. And you have to ask yourself this question, because again, I speak to so many of you, and I've worked with a bunch of you one-on-one, along with my colleague and friend Dr. Denise. So we work with people one-on-one, and one of the questions we ask on the intake form is, on a scale from 1 to 10, how serious are you? How will you do whatever it takes to fix yourself? And if somebody says 5 or 6, that we're not going to work with them. I'm not, because I'm experienced enough to know you have to be ready. You have to be ready to say, I will do whatever it takes. to feel better every day. I think in a way my anxiety, although I don't feel anxious at all anymore, like that feeling of anxiety is all but gone. I just don't feel it anymore, which is great. However, I think it may have taken another form, and I've talked to you about this a little bit. It may have taken the form of um, obsessively checking stats, checking things that I know are not going to change every 2 minutes, but I just check to see if they've changed and gotten better or gotten worse. And if they got worse, of course, I probably obsess over it a little bit. So, you know, again, that's what I'm working on now because although my typical anxiety, when you think of anxiety, you think, the typical just an anxious feeling, when you do certain things, or even when you don't do certain things, I would wake up in the morning sometimes, and almost every morning, actually, come to think of it, I wake up every morning feeling really anxious. Now, why would I why would I wake up in the morning and feel anxious? Like it's not, I mean, I thought I slept okay, maybe I didn't, but I had this feeling of anxiety every morning. And I'm thinking to myself, like, what's going on? My life is good. I mean, I really do love my life. Everything seemed to be going well, but this feeling of anxiety was crippling. So, I decided I had to take the bull by the horn because I had to do whatever it took to feel better. Or I probably, again, like I said, I'm not saying this lightly. I'm not saying this lightly at all. My physical and mental health were spiraling out of control. So if I had not done this, and by this I mean not only microdosing, but figuring out exactly what I needed to do to feel better every day. And I'd say that work, even though it's a work in progress. And I told you on previous episodes recently, I've told you that not only am I the teacher, and I'm the one that is sharing my experience with you. I'm the teacher. I'm sharing what you can do to feel better, but at the same time, I still feel like I'm the student because there's more that I have to learn about myself. Why did I feel so horrible when I got kicked out of my house? The mushrooms should have fixed all that, right? Well, it's not, life is not perfect. And they didn't. Although maybe they did, maybe it would have been a lot worse had I not been microdosing. Maybe things would have been a lot worse. Maybe I would have had like anxiety attacks like you wouldn't believe when I learned that we weren't gonna, our lease was not going to be renewed in this house. Maybe I would have had, maybe it would have been much worse. So maybe they have helped a lot. And the transition to where I'm going to be moving to the new house is feels like it's pretty smooth so far. So that's not bad. They say moving is one of the most stressful events in our lives. And just think about people that do it multiple times, and maybe they get used to it. I don't know, but it's kind of stressful packing up everything you own and figuring out what to take and packing it and then moving to another location where you're going to be living. It absolutely can be stressful. And forget about the financial ramifications from moving. I mean, there's so many, no pun intended, but so many moving parts to this that, yeah, it's stressful. And holidays are stressful. I kind of stopped going to holiday functions because I can't, except for a select few. I generally couldn't stand them. I hated holidays. So again, I've said in the past, and I've said, well, the things that you don't want to do, you don't really have to do. Nobody was making me go to holiday functions that I didn't like. Nobody was had like a whip, and they said, David, if you don't go, I'm gonna whip you. Nope, nobody ever said that. I just chose to conform and do the things that everybody says you have to do. And look where that got me. Life ain't easy out there. However, I will say it does get a lot better when you start focusing on yourself. And again, I'm a big fan of the microdosing. You can do it other ways. I'm sure you probably can. But if you are going to choose the microdosing route, which I believe works really, really well, it rewires our brain. If you're going to choose that route, choose it, be serious about it, and stick to it. Don't give up. Everybody wants overnight success. Oh, yeah. If this doesn't happen quickly, it must not be good. Now, luckily, it did happen reasonably quickly for me. Although I've been on a close to a 4-year journey with this microdosing. It keeps improving and improving. So maybe I got a good start out of the gate. Yeah, that could be true. Maybe a lot of people don't get a perfect start out of the gate. Maybe it takes more work, and I know that, and more time, and that's fine. But it does work. So if you're serious, if you're truly serious about feeling better every day, you need to put in the work and you need to stick to it's not that difficult. But again, too many people just deviate all over the place. I got somebody asked me the other day, well, I took a few microdoses of psilocybin. It didn't work. Maybe I'll try ketamine. Maybe I'll try that. My advice is no. Not only have I heard bad stories about that, but stick to what works. And again, if you're following me, I'm a firm believer that microdosing or even larger doses, psilocybin, do work. They work. It works. There's no question in my mind. But you have to do it. You have to believe in it. You have to do all the other things, and you have to titrate and make sure your dosages are working for you. Everybody's different, and everybody needs different dosages. So some people might need even more than a microdose to make this work. So some people might, but again, it does work. I want to see you feel better every single day. I bet you would probably take 6 out of 7 days feeling better, right? I mean, there's probably nothing wrong with that. Although I prefer every day. I definitely prefer every day. And I want to see this for you, and that's why I'm doing the show. Look, I could just like walk off into the sunset, have fun, do my thing every day, and not do this. But I would feel guilty is not the right word. I would feel that I'm leaving something on the table because here I found this way of doing things and this medicine, this wonderful plant medicine that really does cure, and I'm not sharing it with everybody. I mean, I would feel bad. So that's why I'm doing this. And by the way, if you like what you're hearing or watching, no matter what platform you're listening or viewing this on, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel because I've got a lot coming up, and we're reaching a new year. And I remember the beginning of this year. So as I'm recording this, we're in towards the end of November 2024. And I remember around New Year's 2024, I had this revelation. I said that this is finally going to be your year. This is the year that you are going to start taking care of yourself and feeling better. And you blink your eye, time goes so fast. You blink your eyes and it's already November or almost December now. Almost December. And I'm wondering, I don't have any formal way of finding out, but I'm wondering how many of you, how many of my Nakama here, my followers, our group, our tribe, how many of you have really done whatever it takes to feel better this year? The year flew by. And a lot of time, it's human nature to say, well, yeah, I'll do it. I'm eventually going to do this. I wonder how many have not really taken it seriously and not really done it yet, not really started your journey of feeling better every day. Well, maybe we can have a challenge because we are coming up on 2025 pretty soon. We're gonna blink our eyes again, and it's gonna be 2025. We will. So is that going to be your year? If you haven't done it yet, then maybe we can say 2025 will be your year. We're going to do whatever it takes to finally live life the way you want to live it. What do you think about that? Is that a possibility? Because I don't want to see you keep wasting days, weeks, months, and years. And then one day you just wake up and we're way too old to do anything. And I believe you can do this at any age. In other words, I don't believe that if you're, let's say, I'm going to make this age up at 80 years old and you've got something going on that's bad in your life. Like, let's just again make this up totally, but let's say you're 80 years old and you're in a bad relationship. Let's just say that. But you say to yourself, well, I'm just, I'm too old now. I'm going to stick it out and whatever it takes, I'm going to just stick it out and make it work because I don't have a lot of time left. But suppose you're 80 and suppose you actually live to, again, just making this up, suppose you live to 98 years old. So you're willing to go the next 18 years in misery because you think you're too old to change? I believe as long as we're living, breathing on this planet, we're not too old to do anything. We can do anything. We can do anything we want up until the day we die. Now, if you're lying in a hospital bed, seriously ill with a terminal disease, that's then you can't do anything you want. You're right. You're right. But in most cases, if we're ambulatory and even if we're old, we need to fix what's wrong, and we can't just say, "Oh, I'm too old now. I've done this for too long. I'm just gonna let it go." No, that I don't want you to do that. No, you're not doing that under my watch. Under my watch, you're not doing that. I'm not going to allow that. Oh, I got so much to talk about. So much to talk about. A brand new episode I put out every Wednesday and every Friday. I've been doing some live streams on YouTube. So if you're not on YouTube, if you're not, make it a point to get over there and check out some live streams. And unfortunately, they are impromptu sometimes. So it's just if I'm in the mood, I'll just press go live and I'll go live and maybe we'll interact for 15, 20 minutes, maybe 30, and we'll have some fun. And the people that are on there live get to interact with me and we talk and we hang out. It's a blast. Other than that, I'm just having fun doing this because I feel you on the other end. I feel your presence. I know that you are possibly hurting and you need some help. And I'm here with you. We're together. You're not alone, and we can fix this. And if you haven't done it yet this year, let's make sure that through the end of this year and next year, this is your time. You're not going to put this off any longer. I'm Dr. Dave. I really appreciate you being here with me today. I hope this helps. Again, I hope it helped. Just if it helped one person, I'm good with that. But I have a feeling from all the messages I get, I have a feeling it helped more than one person. Okay. Love you. See you next episode.